ahoy hoy, I'm playing a walk, and something like this was eventually bound to happen. Eventually, someone was going to not like one of my videos and try and take action against it. I just didn't really think that it would be the free speech warriors over at the Daily Wire. So I should probably explain what exactly has happened. Well, I received a copyright strike from the Daily Wire for my video critiquing Matt Walsh's What is a Woman film. Now, this copyright strike was issued manually. It was not automated, which means that someone had to review my video and decide, okay, we're going to strike this. Now, there is an appeals process on YouTube so that you can go ahead and counter these kinds of things. But YouTube does make sure to warn you about using that. They basically warn you that if you file an appeal, that could end up going to court, and if you lose, you can end up in serious legal trouble. And because of that, I was hesitant to file an appeal, because the Daily Wire will obviously have their own lawyers. I don't really want this to go to court because I think that there's better things to do than debate whether my video with 16.5 thousand views is protected by fair use. However, on the other hand, I don't want to just let this slide either, which is the whole reason why I am making this video. Also, if you can share this video around, that would be great, because it is possible that this just blows over within a couple of days, which is what I'd prefer, but there is the possibility that something else may happen. And if something else does happen, like YouTube rejects the appeal or this goes to court, I want to be able to kick up as much of a fuss as possible to let people know. But also, if this does blow over in a couple of days, the fact that the Daily Wire decided to strike my video, despite it being protected by fair use, does say something, I think. Now, if this were just a random person that I've criticized striking my video, like Nathan Oakley or Bill Gady, then I'd probably just appeal it, make a video, and move on. I wouldn't really worry about what legal consequences there might be. But when the Daily Wire, a company that does receive funding from billionaires like the Wilks brothers, strikes your video, then you do have to make sure that it's 100% protected by fair use. They have lawyers. Nathan Oakley, on the other hand, has Anthony Riley. But that being considered, there is a question of how likely is it to actually go to court? And I've been thinking about this, and there is a slim possibility, but I don't think it's very likely. If the Daily Wire were to take this to court, I feel like it would be a big mistake on their part, because I feel like there's a really strong case to be made that my video is protected by fair use. Because firstly, my video is a criticism of What is a Woman. That is something that is protected by fair use. But not only that, I've gone ahead and worked out how much of my video is me speaking like this, and how much is content from Matt Walsh's film. Now, my video was about 41 minutes long, and I have gone ahead and sorted all the clips that I have used in my video. On the left, there is stuff that I've used from Matt Walsh, and on the right, there is stuff that I've used from myself. And if we take a look at the length of the stuff that I used from Matt Walsh, we can see that it's nearly 10 minutes long. Now over here we have a completely unedited part of Matt Walsh's film, which includes every single thing that I used in my video. If we take a look at the length of that, it comes out to 27 minutes and 50 seconds. This means that of the portion of the film that I was using, I used just over a third of it. And that made up only 25% of my video, which doesn't really sound like my video would be a substitute for the original work. It also means that my content was transformative. Most of it was me talking about the film. 75% of it was! I do not believe that if the Daily Wire were to take this to court, and we both had good lawyers, that the Daily Wire would win. But the Daily Wire does have a lot more money than me, which is why this kind of stuff is concerning. And I think they know that because there's a few things that don't really make sense here if they are striking it for copyright reasons. Firstly, there is the fact that I think a pretty solid fair use defense can be made, and they would probably know that if they had have actually watched the video. But secondly, the claim itself was a bit weird. I recorded this just before I submitted an appeal. Okay, so normally when you get a copyright claim, it tells you what it is on. Here we can see that this one got an audio-visual claim, this one got composition claim. If we go to the strike that I got, we can say it says that it's manually detected, and it doesn't tell you what it is on. However, on this page it actually does tell me. So we can see here that it says content used, and we can see the URL that it gives, but it also says that it's artwork. Now, I know that art is subjective and everyone has different standards. Some people may consider what I'm doing right now artwork, but I find it very weird that it's listed as artwork and not audio-visual. Obviously, my immediate thought when I saw that was, Are they just trying to copyright strike the thumbnail or something? Because if they are, then I think that it's very, very likely that they're just trying to censor me. I don't think that's the case though. Well, I do think that they're trying to censor me, just not because of that. I think that either there's a process that you have to go through on YouTube in order to make an audio-visual claim as opposed to an artwork claim, or they're just being lazy and decided, oh yeah, we'll just claim that it's artwork and link to the trailer. Either way, it is weird that they claimed it as artwork. I do think that they're meaning, hey, this person used the documentary and that is copyrighted. Oh hey, YouTube approved the counter notification, and now it's just on the Daily Wire to respond. That was faster than I expected. I thought it would take a day or two. Either way, that's the first hurdle cleared. I don't have to worry about YouTube, it's just the Daily Wire and whether or not they decide to bring a court case. But another factor that I haven't touched on is the fact that my video only has 16.5 thousand views. I don't really think that's worth a court case, to be honest. And you might say, well, if it's not really worth a court case, then why did you appeal the strike? That's the thing that can lead to a court case. And the reason being is because of the principle behind it. If you have cases where people don't appeal because they're worried about a lawsuit from a company, then that can lead to companies abusing the copyright system. And who's to say that companies don't bank on the fact that they are a company, and it is more intimidating receiving a copyright strike from a company than an individual. There will be people out there that will go, I don't want to deal with this, I'm just going to let it slide. Especially if they're smaller channels that can't raise any kind of awareness of what's actually happening. That's why I have a feeling that the Daily Wire isn't going to take this to court and that within 10 days the video will be back up on YouTube. It's not really worth my time to take it to court. It's not worth the Daily Wire's time to take it to court. They don't have to take it to court. So they can make the threat of court without actually intending to go through with it. And there are people out there that just won't take that chance. And I kind of think that's what's going on here. It's a very easy way to silence criticism. But if this doesn't go to court, it does raise the question. They did watch the video, right, before filing that strike, right? They would have had to have checked that I was using clips from the film, because if they didn't, then that would look very bad on their part. Also, if they're not checking for this kind of stuff, then we'd expect to see far more copyright strikes going on out there from them. So that means that they have to have seen my video. So how come they don't realize that it would be protected by fair use? Are they really that incompetent? Or is this just a cheap way to shut down criticism? It isn't like companies haven't abused the copyright system to try and take down stuff that they don't like. I also wonder how they found it. Was it recommended to someone and they thought, oh, this should be copyright struck? Or did they search for it? If they searched for it, why did they copyright strike it now rather than 4 months ago when the video was actually released? There are just so many questions that I have. And I get that it may be that they legitimately felt like they had a case. However, to me, it kind of just feels like I'm being censored, honestly. It feels kind of like I'm being singled out because this isn't happening all across the board to everyone. If it were, then there would be a huge fuss being raised about it. But I'm just a small creator with 30,000 subscribers. I can raise a small amount of fuss, but I can't raise a huge fuss. But I can always encourage you to share it, to try and get the word out there, so that this doesn't happen to other people. But it's also important to remember that this case isn't over. If they respond within 10 days, this goes to court, and there will be a legal battle. I will update you on what happens, whether the video comes back, or whether we're going to court. I hope that it's the former. If it is the latter though, then you can expect me to raise hell.